Before we dive in, a quick but important note. This video provides educational strategies and insights for preparing for the law school admission test. It is for informational purposes only and does not constitute a guarantee of any specific score or admission to any law school. Your personal LSAT journey is unique, and your results will depend on your individual effort, study habits, and application of these principles. You're staring at a number on a screen, a 147, maybe a 152 if you're lucky, and your heart sinks. You just spent 3.5 grueling hours on your very first LSAT practice test. A cold diagnostic, they call it. The logic games felt like they were written in a dead language. The reading comprehension passages were so dense you think you might have blacked out for a paragraph or two. And the logical reasoning questions, every single answer choice sounded plausible, designed specifically to make you doubt your own sanity. And now this number that feels less like a score and more like a judgment. A verdict that says, nope, not for you. Law school is for other people. Smarter people. If that sounds familiar, or if you're about to take that first test and you're terrified that's what you're going to feel, I need you to listen to me very, very closely. That number means absolutely nothing. It is the single most useless piece of data in your entire law school application journey. The only thing that first score is good for is getting it framed for a good laugh after you get a 175 on the real thing. The profound fundamental secret of the LSAT, the one that separates the people who skyrocket their scores by 20 points from those who stay stuck for months, is this. The LSAT is not an intelligence test. I'll say it again. It is not a measure of how smart you are. It is a skills test. It's a game. A complex, frustrating, and often infuriating game, but a game with a finite set of rules, patterns, and traps. And just like any game, it can be learned, it can be mastered, and it can be beaten. My goal in this video is to give you the exact blueprint for the first 30 to 60 days of your LSAT prep. This isn't about random tips or hacks. This is the step-by-step, foundational system to start your journey the right way, avoiding the catastrophic mistakes that sabotage 90% of beginners before they even get a fighting chance. This is the guide I wish someone had handed me when I was staring at my own soul-crushing 148, feeling like an imposter. By the end of this, you won't just know what to do. You'll understand why you're doing it, and you'll have a clear path from wherever you are now to building the skills for a score that opens doors to the law schools of your dreams. So let's talk about the biggest mistake of all. The one every eager, ambitious pre-law student makes. You get that bad diagnostic score, you panic, and you think the answer is volume. You think, I just need to grind. I'll buy every practice test book, and I'll do thousands of questions until I get better. This is like trying to become a pro-level basketball player by just shooting 1,000 shots a day with terrible form. You're not getting better. You're just cementing bad habits. You're burning through the most precious resource you have, official LSAT questions, before you even know how to properly use them. Starting with a relentless grind is the fastest path to burnout and a plateaued score. Your first month is not about grinding. It is the foundation phase. Your one and only job is to build a rock-solid foundation of understanding. Forget about timing. Forget about your score. Forget about full practice tests. Your entire world for the next 30 days revolves around 3 core pillars. Pillar number 1, understanding the test's DNA. You have to go deeper than just knowing there are 3 scored section types. You need to understand what each section is actually testing at its core. Let's start with logical reasoning. Most people think it's about arguing or finding the right opinion. It's not. Logical reasoning is the art of deconstruction. It is testing one primary skill: your ability to identify the precise relationship between a set of premises and a conclusion. That's it. Can you spot the evidence? Can you spot the main point? And most importantly, can you spot the gap, the unstated assumption that links them together? Every one of the roughly 13 types of LR questions is just a different way of asking you to analyze that core structure. A strengthened question asks you to patch the gap. A weakened question asks you to attack it. A necessary assumption question asks you to identify the absolute bedrock the argument stands on. Until you can look at a stimulus and instantly break it down into its architectural parts, premise, conclusion, assumption, you are just guessing. Next, logic games or analytical reasoning. This section terrifies people. It looks like pure chaos, but it is the single most learnable, most perfectible section on the entire test. Why? Because it's not testing some innate genius. It is testing your ability to create a system. It's testing your ability to take a set of confusing rules, translate them into a clear, visual setup, and then make deductions. That's the whole game. Can you read A must be seated before B, and write if B? Can you read if C is on the team then D cannot be, and write if C then not D? And more importantly, it's contrapositive, if D then not C? Your first month in logic games is not about finishing a game in 8 minutes and 45 seconds. It is about taking 45 minutes for a single game if needed to master the art of diagramming every rule type, of making deductions, and of understanding why the right answer is 100% provably correct and the 4 wrong answers are 100% provably false. Finally, reading comprehension. This feels like the SAT or ACT on steroids, but it's not. They are not testing your ability to speed read or memorize facts. They are testing your ability to identify the architecture of a text. Every LSAT reading comp passage, whether it's about plate tectonics or 18th century feminist legal theory, has a structure. There is a main point. There are supporting arguments. There might be a counter-argument. There are specific authorial viewpoints and tones. Your job isn't to become an expert on the topic. It's to become an expert at mapping the passage. Who is saying what? Why are they saying it? What is the primary purpose of this paragraph in service of the overall passage? When you read for this structure instead of just for information, the questions become shockingly predictable. You'll know exactly where to find the answer because you've already created a mental map of the author's argument. So that's Pillar 1. You obsess over the fundamental DNA of each section. You're not a test taker yet. You're a detective, an architect, a strategist learning how the machine works from the inside out. You're learning the why behind every question. This brings us to the second pillar, which is arguably where the most critical decision of your entire prep lies. Now that you know what you're supposed to be learning, you have to decide how you're going to learn it. This is about choosing your weapons. Selecting the right prep materials and resources is the difference between a clear, structured path to success and a confusing, frustrating journey through a jungle of bad advice and inefficient strategies. Most beginners just grab the most popular book off the shelf or sign up for the first course they see an ad for. And this single decision can lock them into a score range that's far below their potential. Because not all prep is created equal. Some methods teach you to think like the test makers, while others just teach you cheap tricks that fall apart on test day. And knowing the difference is everything. So let's break that down. Imagine you want to learn how to fight. You have 2 choices. The first teacher shows you a really cool-looking, super specific spinning kick. He says, master this one move and you'll be unstoppable. The second teacher doesn't teach you any fancy moves on day 1. Instead, he makes you work on your footwork, your balance, your breathing, and how to throw a simple, perfect jab. The first approach is the LSAT trick. That spinning kick might work once, on an opponent who's standing perfectly still and doesn't see it coming. But the second you face a real fighter, someone who moves, who adapts, who thinks that one trick is useless. In fact, it leaves you off balance and wide open. The second approach is learning to think like the test makers. The fundamentals, the footwork, the balance, the jab aren't as flashy, but they are the foundation of everything. They work in every situation against every opponent because they are the core principles of fighting itself. Most commercial LSAT prep sells you the spinning kick. They give you acronyms and checklists for every question type. They tell you, if you see a must-be-true question, do these 3 steps. Or if you see a grouping game, immediately draw this specific type of grid. This feels great at first. It feels like you're learning a secret system. You do a set of easy practice problems, apply the trick, and it works. Your score goes up a few points. You feel like a genius. But then something happens. Your score plateaus. You hit a wall. You take a full practice test and come across a logic game that looks weird. It doesn't fit into any of the neat little categories you memorized. Your system, your special grid, doesn't apply. Panic sets in. You waste 10 minutes trying to force the game into the box you were taught, and you end up guessing on the whole section. Or you face a logical reasoning question where the conclusion is subtle, and the indicator words you were told to hunt for aren't there. Your trick fails you. The spinning kick missed and now you're on the floor. This is the trap that snares thousands of aspiring law students. They spend hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars mastering techniques that only work on the most predictable, most basic versions of LSAT questions. The test makers at the Law School Admission Council are not dumb. They know all about these tricks. They actively design questions to defeat them. They create novel games and subtly worded arguments specifically to reward flexible, fundamental thinking, and to punish rigid, formulaic approaches. They want to test your ability to think, not your ability to memorize a flowchart. The other path, the path of the fundamentals, is harder at first. It requires you to do something scarier than memorizing. It requires you to truly understand. Instead of learning a specific diagram for a grouping game, you learn the principles of conditional logic that underpin all games. You learn to ask, what is the most constrained part of this game? What are the major points of inference? How do these rules interact? You become a detective, not a robot. In logical reasoning, instead of hunting for keywords, you learn to deconstruct an argument with surgical precision. You identify the core claim the author is making, the conclusion. You identify the pieces of information they're using to support that claim, the evidence. And most importantly, you learn to see the invisible space between them, the assumption. You learn to think about what the author must believe to be true for their evidence to actually prove their conclusion. This skill, this ability to analyze the structure of an argument, is what the LSAT is actually testing. It's what being a lawyer is all about. And there's no trick for it. It's a pure analytical skill. So, how do you start down this second, more powerful path? Your journey doesn't begin with a textbook or a video course. It begins with a single terrifying and absolutely essential first step. You need to take a full-time diagnostic LSAT. I know what you're thinking. I can't do that. I don't know anything yet. I'll get a terrible score and feel like a complete failure. Good. That is the entire point. Taking a cold diagnostic test is not about getting a good score. It's about gathering intelligence. It's about creating a map of your own mind. Right now, you are standing at the beginning of a vast, unknown territory, and you have no idea which way to go. The diagnostic test is your satellite survey. It shows you the mountains you'll need to climb, the rivers you'll need to cross, and the surprising patches of flat, easy ground you didn't even know you had. Your score on this first test means absolutely nothing about your potential. Let me repeat that. Your initial score has zero predictive power on what you can ultimately achieve. It is not a judgment. It is not a grade. It is a baseline. It is pure unfiltered data. Getting a 145 on a cold diagnostic doesn't make you a 145 student. It makes you a normal person who has never studied for the LSAT before. Michael Jordan probably missed his first ever basketball shot. That miss didn't define his career. It was just the first data point in a long journey of improvement. Here is exactly how you need to do this. First, you need an official test. Don't use a test from a prep company book. They are often poorly designed imitations. You need the real thing. The best place to get this is directly from the source, Sachs Law Hub. It has a library of every officially released LSAT. Just pick one of the more recent ones. Anything from test number 70 and up is fine. Second, you must take it under strict time conditions. This is non-negotiable. Find a 4-hour block of time where you will not be disturbed. Go to a library if you have to. Turn your phone off. Off. Not on silent. Off. And put it in another room. Use a timer. Give yourself exactly 35 minutes for each section. When the timer goes off, you put your pencil down and move on, even if you're not finished. You get one 10 to 15-minute break after the second section. That's it. You need to simulate the real experience of the test to get an accurate baseline of your mental endurance and pacing. Third, do not cheat. Do not pause the timer. Do not look up a word you don't know. Do not ask for help. The goal here is not to get a high score. The goal is to get an honest score. You want to know what you can do right now with no help. Every time you bend the rules, you are just lying to yourself and corrupting the very data you need to build your study plan. So you're going to do it. You're going to sit down for a few hours, feel confused and rushed, and get a score that will probably be much lower than your goal. You'll look at that number, and your heart will sink a little. This is the moment where most people make a critical mistake. They see the number, feel bad, and then just dive into a generic study plan, hoping to make the number go up. But the number itself is the least important piece of information you just gained. The real gold is buried in the questions you got wrong, and the ones you got right by guessing. That's where you find the blueprint for your success. And analyzing that blueprint, that map of your strengths and weaknesses, is the true beginning of your LSAT prep. Your diagnostic score doesn't define you, but what you do with it will define your entire LSAT journey. And the first step of that analysis is something almost every single beginner gets wrong, turning their most valuable asset, their own mistakes, into a complete waste of time. Most students, after taking that first brutal practice test, will do the exact same thing. They'll get their score, feel that initial sting or maybe a flicker of relief, and then they'll turn to the answer key. They'll scroll down to question 1, see they got it right, and feel a little burst of dopamine. Good. Question 2 right again. Nice. Question 3 wrong. The correct answer was C and they picked A. They'll look at C, reread the question and think, oh okay, I see why C is better. Yeah, that makes sense. Then they move on to question 4. And right there, in that moment, in that seemingly innocent act of review, they have just wasted the single most valuable piece of data they will ever get in their LSAT prep. They've taken a priceless diamond of insight and tossed it in the trash. Because understanding that C is the right answer is completely, utterly, and dangerously useless. It is nothing for you. It's the equivalent of looking at the solution to a Sudoku puzzle and saying, ah yes, a 7 does go there. You haven't learned how to solve the puzzle. You've only learned the answer to that specific puzzle. On test day, you won't get that same puzzle. You'll get a new one. The fundamental mistake is treating your diagnostic review like you're correcting a simple math test. You're not. You need to stop being a student checking your homework and start being a detective at a crime scene. Every single question you got wrong is a crime scene. Your wrong answer is the smoking gun. And your job is not just to identify the correct culprit, the right answer choice. Your job is to perform a full-blown autopsy on your own thought process to understand exactly how the crime was committed. This is the most important skill you will learn in your first month of studying. Not logic games, not reading comprehension strategies, but the art of the mistake autopsy. If you master this, you will improve faster than 99% of other students. If you don't, you will spin your wheels for months taking test after test, wondering why your score is stuck in the mud. So let's perform our first autopsy together. Grab that diagnostic test you just took. We're not going to look at every question. We're just going to look at the ones you got wrong, and the ones you flagged because you were guessing. Here's the 5-step process. Step 1. Resolve the question blind. Before you even look at the answer key to see what the correct answer is, go back to a question you got wrong. Cover up your original answer. Now try to solve it again. But this time with no timer. Take all the time in the world. 10, 15, 20 minutes if you need to. The goal here is to isolate the variable. Was your mistake caused by a lack of understanding? Or was it caused by the pressure of the clock? If you can solve the question correctly with unlimited time, you have a timing problem. If you still get it wrong, or you're still totally lost even with all the time in the world, then you have a foundational conceptual problem. This distinction is everything. You treat a timing problem very differently from a conceptual problem. Step 2. Justify every single answer. Now, and only now, can you look at the answer key. Let's say the correct answer is C and you picked A. Your job is not done. Your job has just begun. You must now, in your own words, articulate precisely why C is 100% correct, and just as importantly why A, B, D, and E are all 100% wrong. You need to become a lawyer for the correct answer and a prosecutor for the wrong ones. For answer choice A, you need to say, this is wrong because the stimulus discussed the cause of the problem. But this answer choice only addresses the effect. For answer choice B, this is wrong because it uses the word all, which is an extreme claim not supported by the evidence. You must be this specific. If you can't verbalize exactly why an answer is wrong, you don't truly understand the question. You're just vaguely pattern matching. This is the part that builds the real logical muscle. You are training your brain to see the subtle flaws, the logical gaps, the traps the test makers lay for the unwary. Step 3. Find the source of the error. This is the soul-searching part. You now understand why C is right and A is wrong. But you need to ask the most important question of all. Why did your brain in that moment under pressure choose A? What was so seductive about the wrong answer? What did you miss in the stimulus or the question stem that led you down the wrong path? You have to be brutally honest with yourself. Did you misread a crucial word like unless or only if? Did you misunderstand what the question was asking for? Did you find a necessary assumption when it asked for a sufficient one? Did you get lazy on the last 2 answer choices because you liked the sound of A? You need to pinpoint the exact moment your train of thought went off the rails. This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about diagnosing the illness. You can't cure a disease you haven't identified. Step 4. Categorize the mistake. Once you've identified the source of the error, give it a name. Put it in a bucket. This is how you'll start to see patterns. The categories can be simple. For example, misread the stimulus, misread the question stem, misunderstood the conclusion, didn't pre-phrase an answer, fell for a trap answer like a shell game or an opposite answer, rushing/time pressure, content gap, e.g., didn't know how to diagram a certain type of logic game. Giving your mistakes a label transforms them from these random, scary failures into organized, manageable data points. Step 5. Create an error log. This is the single most powerful tool you can build. It's a simple spreadsheet or a notebook. For every single question you get wrong or were unsure about, you create an entry. Column 1. The test number and question number. Column 2. The question type. Column 3. Your error category from Step 4. Column 4. A one-sentence description of why you made the mistake. For example, I chose it because I didn't notice the word "not" in the conclusion, which completely reversed its meaning. Column 5. A one-sentence description of the correct process or the key takeaway. For example, from now on I will always circle negative words like "not" or "unless" in the conclusion to make sure I don't miss them. This 5-step process: resolve, justify, find the source, categorize, and log is your new religion. It's slow. It's tedious. It's painful. Reviewing a single 35-minute section might take you 2 or 3 hours. It will feel like you're not making progress because you're not blazing through hundreds of questions. But you are not just studying the LSAT. You are studying yourself. That error log will become a detailed blueprint of your own unique cognitive biases, your personal blind spots, and your habitual thought patterns. After just 2 or 3 practice tests reviewed this way, you will have a gold mine. You'll be able to look at your error log and see clear as day, wow, 60% of my errors in logical reasoning are on sufficient assumption questions. And in almost every case, the reason is that I'm picking a necessary assumption instead. Boom! Just like that, you've moved from clueless to clinical. You have a specific, targeted problem to solve. You now know exactly what you need to work on. You're no longer just bad at logical reasoning. You are someone who needs to master the distinction between sufficient and necessary assumptions. That is a problem you can actually solve. Without this process, you are flying blind. You're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks. You're doing practice problem after practice problem, reinforcing the same bad habits, making the same mistakes over and over, and wondering why your score isn't budging. It's because you're not learning from your mistakes, you're just acknowledging them. Your diagnostic score is just a number. But your error log, that is the beginning of your story. It's the map that shows you exactly where the treasure is buried. It turns your biggest weaknesses into your clearest path forward. But a map is useless if you don't know how to read it. Now that you have this incredibly detailed intelligence report on your own brain, how do you use it to build an actual study plan? How do you translate these raw data points from your error log into a week-by-week, day-by-day schedule that will systematically eliminate your weaknesses and build your score, point by painful point? That is the bridge between analysis and action, and it's where we're going next. So let's build that bridge. Because a list of your mistakes, no matter how detailed, is just a history of your failures. A study schedule, a real one, is the blueprint for your success. Forget the generic one-size-fits-all schedules you find online. Monday logic games. Tuesday reading comp. That's not a plan. That's a vague suggestion. It's useless. Why? Because it's not built on your data. It doesn't know you struggle with principal strength questions but crush necessary assumption questions. It doesn't know that layering games are your personal kryptonite. Your study schedule must be a living, breathing document. A personalized surgical tool designed for one purpose and one purpose only: to find, isolate, and eliminate your specific weaknesses. This isn't a calendar. It's a weakness elimination protocol. And we're going to build it from the ground up, starting with the big picture. First, the macro level. Zoom out. You need to see your entire prep timeline, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, or more. We're going to divide this timeline into 3 distinct phases. Phase 1 is the foundation. This is the first month or 2. The goal here is not speed. I repeat, the goal is not speed. It is 100% accuracy. During this phase, you are learning the theory. You are working through a curriculum, untimed, mastering the fundamental concepts of every question type and every game type. You are building the bedrock of your understanding. If you try to build a 180 score on a foundation of shaky understanding, the entire structure will collapse under the pressure of a timed exam. In phase 1, you do everything untimed. Your focus is on process, methodology, and precision. Phase 2 is integration and pacing. This is where you start to introduce the clock. You've learned how to solve a flaw question. Now can you solve it correctly in a minute and 20 seconds? You've learned how to diagram a grouping game. Now can you build the world and crush the questions in 8 minutes and 45 seconds? This phase is all about taking the theoretical knowledge from phase 1 and forging it into a practical, time-efficient weapon. You'll be doing timed individual sections, drilling sets of questions under time pressure, and building your mental endurance. Phase 3 is performance and refinement. This is the final month to 6 weeks before your official test. This phase is dominated by full 4-section practice tests taken under strict test day conditions. The goal here is twofold: building the stamina to maintain peak mental performance for nearly 3 hours, and using the data from these tests to do microsurgeries on your remaining, stubborn weaknesses. This is where you're not just a student, you're an athlete peaking for game day. Okay, that's the macro level foundation integration performance. Now let's zoom in to the micro level, the week-by-week, day-by-day battle plan. This is where your error log becomes your commander. Here's how you structure a single perfect week of LSAT study. First, you put in the big rocks, the non-negotiables. For most of your prep, especially in phases 2 and 3, this means one full-length practice test or PT per week. Schedule it. Carve it out in stone. I recommend Saturday or Sunday morning to simulate the timing of the actual LSAT. This is your weekly diagnostic, your data gathering mission. It is the most important appointment you have all week. The second big rock you schedule is the review of that test. And I'm not talking about a quick 30-minute glance at what you got wrong. I'm talking about a deep, exhaustive 3 to 4 hour blind review session. This is where you redo every single question you weren't 100% confident on before you look at the right answer. This session is just as, if not more, important than the PT itself. So if you take your PT on Saturday morning, you schedule your blind review for Sunday morning. Lock it in. Now you have the 2 pillars of your week in place. The rest of the week is built around them. And what do we fill it with? We look at the error log. Let's say your latest PT and blind review revealed a glaring weakness in reading comprehension, specifically with questions that ask about the primary purpose of a passage. Your error log shows you missed 4 out of 5 of them. So what do? You create a study block for it. A study block is a focused 90-minute session dedicated to a single task. Monday, your first study block is Primary Purpose Deep Dive. For 90 minutes, you will do nothing but primary purpose questions. You'll find a resource that lets you drill them by type. You'll do 10 of them untimed. You'll analyze the right answers. You'll analyze the wrong answers. You'll write down a checklist for how to identify the correct answer for this question type every single time. You are not just practicing, you are performing surgery on your weakness. Then you look at your error log again. Logic games. You see that you're consistently messing up rule substitution questions. Fine. Tuesday's 90-minute study block is now Rule Substitution Mastery. You're going to find every one of these questions from the last 10 practice tests, and you are going to do them until you understand the logic so deeply you could teach it to someone else. You are not studying logic games. You are executing a targeted strike on rule substitution questions. You are not studying logical reasoning. You are systematically destroying your weakness on principle-strengthened questions. This is the difference between passive, hopeful studying and active, targeted demolition of your weak points. Your weekly schedule should be a mosaic of these targeted study blocks, all dictated by the data from your error log. But you also need to incorporate skill maintenance. You can't just work on your weaknesses, or your strengths will atrophy. So you'll also schedule in a few 35-minute time sections throughout the week. Maybe a timed logical reasoning section on Tuesday evening, and a timed reading comp section on Thursday morning. This keeps your pacing sharp and ensures all your skills stay warm. And finally, the most overlooked but most critical part of the schedule: rest. You must schedule at least one full day off per week. A day where you do not look at a single LSAT question. Your brain is not a computer. It's a muscle. It breaks down when you work it and rebuilds stronger when you rest. The consolidation of memory, the process of moving information from short-term to long-term storage, happens when you are resting, when you are sleeping. Burnout is the #1 killer of high LSAT scores. Scheduling a day off is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of a strategic, professional approach to this test. So let's visualize a perfect week in Phase 2. Saturday morning, full-timed practice test. Sunday morning, a 3 to 4 hour blind review of that PT, meticulously updating your error log. Sunday evening, you sit down and plan the upcoming week. Your error log is screaming that you have issues with comparative reading passages and flaw questions. Monday, 90-minute study block on comparative reading. You drill 5 passages, focusing on identifying the core areas of agreement and disagreement. Tuesday, 90-minute study block on flaw questions. You master the common logical fallacies, ad hominem, straw man, causal flaws. In the evening, you do one 35-minute timed logic game section to keep your diagramming skills fast. Wednesday, another 90-minute block on a secondary weakness, maybe certain types of logic games. Thursday, a lighter day. You review your error log from the week's drilling, consolidate your notes, and do one 35-minute timed logical reasoning section. Friday, you take the day off. Completely. You go for a hike, see a movie, have dinner with friends. You let your brain recover and rebuild. And then on Saturday, you wake up, refreshed and stronger, ready to take another PT and gather new data to fuel the next week's attack. This is the engine of score improvement. It's a relentless feedback loop. Test, analyze, plan, tack, repeat. Every week, your schedule adapts. It gets smarter. It knows what you need to work on before you do. You are no longer just randomly studying, hoping to get better. You are implementing a system that guarantees improvement because it is built from the ground up on your own personal data. This schedule is the what and the when. It provides the structure, the discipline, but it doesn't tell you how. How exactly do you conduct a deep dive in one of those 90-minute blocks? What does it truly mean to master a concept so you never miss it again? How do you drill in a way that creates permanent understanding, not just temporary memorization? That is the science of learning applied to the LSAT. It's the art of turning a 90-minute study block into 2 permanent points on your score. And that is the secret we're unlocking next. So let's meet 2 students. We'll call them Ben and Alex. Both are smart, both are motivated, and both want a 170+ score. But they approach their study sessions in fundamentally different ways. And in that difference lies the gap between a 158 and a 172. First, let's look at Ben. Ben is a grinder. He puts in the hours. His typical study day is a monument to effort. He gets to the library at 9 a.m., opens his 1,000-page prep book, and starts reading a chapter on sufficient assumption questions. He pulls out a yellow highlighter, and for the next hour he diligently paints every key sentence in bright, glowing neon. He feels productive. The page is now a testament to his focus. Next, he watches a 2-hour video lesson on the same topic. He has it playing while he eats his lunch, nodding along as the instructor explains the concepts. He's absorbing the information. He feels like he's learning. Then, for the rest of the afternoon, he does what he calls getting his reps in. He opens a database of LSAT questions and starts doing problem after problem of sufficient assumption questions. He doesn't time himself. The goal is just to see as many questions as possible. By 5 p.m., he's exhausted. He's put in a full 8-hour day. He's highlighted 50 pages, watched 2 hours of video, and done 75 practice problems. He closes his books, feeling tired but accomplished. He put in the work. He must be improving. But he isn't. Not really. Ben has fallen into the most dangerous trap in all of LSAT prep. He is mistaking the feeling of productivity for actual learning. He is what I call a busy fool. His entire day was built on a foundation of passive, inefficient techniques that create an illusion of fluency. Highlighting. Study after study shows it's one of the least effective learning strategies on the planet. It feels good because you're engaging with the material, but it doesn't force your brain to store the information. It just makes the page look important. You're training your brain to recognize the information, not to recall it. And the LSAT doesn't ask you to recognize things. It asks you to actively apply complex reasoning you have recalled from memory. Passively watching videos? Slightly better, but without active engagement, most of that information washes over you. It enters your short-term memory and then vanishes, like a dream you can't quite remember an hour after waking up. And doing huge, untimed problem sets of a single question type? This is the most deceptive of all. It makes you feel like you're mastering the material because you get into a rhythm. You start seeing the patterns. But you're operating with training wheels. You're not simulating test day conditions, and you're not training your brain to do the most important skill. Identify the question type from a random mix and quickly switch your mental model to solve it. Ben's 8-hour day of hard work probably resulted in about 45 minutes of actual durable learning. The rest was just noise. Now let's look at Alex. Alex is a strategic builder. Her study day looks very different. She only studies for 3 hours. But in those 3 hours, she achieves more permanent learning than Ben does in 8. Alex sits down with the same chapter on sufficient assumption questions. But she doesn't open a highlighter. She reads one single paragraph, then closes the book. She takes out a blank sheet of paper and tries to summarize the key takeaway of that paragraph in her own words, from memory. It's hard. She stumbles. She can't remember the precise terminology. She has to open the book again to check. This process feels slow and inefficient. But what she's doing is called active recall. She is forcing her brain to retrieve the information, not just passively recognize it. This act of struggling and retrieving is what forges strong, permanent neural pathways. It's the mental equivalent of lifting a heavy weight instead of just watching someone else lift it. Next, Alex watches the same 2-hour video lesson. But she doesn't just let it play. She treats it like a one-on-one tutoring session. When the instructor is about to explain a concept, she pauses the video and tries to explain it herself out loud to an empty room. When the instructor presents a practice problem, she pauses the video, solves the entire problem herself under timed conditions, and commits to an answer before she listens to the explanation. She is actively engaging, predicting, and testing herself at every step. Finally, Alex does practice problems. But she doesn't do a marathon 75-question set. She does a small targeted set of just 15 questions. But she does them under strict, timed conditions. And crucially, she doesn't just do sufficient assumption questions. She does a mixed set. 3 sufficient assumption, 3 flaw, 3 strengthen, 3 weaken, and 3 main point questions all shuffled together. This is a technique called interleaving. Feels much harder than doing one type at a time. Her brain has to constantly switch gears, identify the new task, and pull up the correct mental framework. It's confusing. It feels less productive than Ben's smooth rhythm. But it is a perfect simulation of the real LSAT. She is training for the real game, not just a practice drill. After her time set, Alex spends the next hour on the most important part of her day, blind review. She doesn't just look at what she got right and wrong. For every single question, even the one she got right, she analyzes her process. Why was my answer correct? Why were the 4 other answers definitively wrong? Could I have solved this faster? For the one she got wrong, she writes out a detailed journal entry explaining the flaw in her reasoning and what she will do differently next time. Alex's 3-hour day was intense, difficult, and mentally taxing. But every single minute was spent building permanent, usable skill. She was building the house brick by brick, while Ben was just moving a pile of bricks from one side of the yard to the other. The science behind this is undeniable. Active recall, interleaving, and rigorous, timed practice are the cornerstones of efficient learning. This isn't about working harder. It's about working smarter. It's about understanding that your brain isn't a bucket you can just pour knowledge into. It's a muscle that only grows through resistance and challenge. The comfort of highlighting and passive learning is a siren song that will lead your LSAT score onto the rocks. The real gains are found in the discomfort of forcing your brain to work. When you close the book and have to sweat to remember a concept, you are learning. When you pause the video and articulate a strategy in your own words, you are learning. When you struggle through a mixed set of problems that confuses you, you are learning. This is the fundamental shift you must make right now, at the very beginning of your prep. You must divorce your idea of progress from the feeling of being busy. Your new measure of a successful study session is not how many hours you put in, but how many times you intentionally put yourself in a state of productive struggle. So, you now have the methods. You know the difference between Ben's passive, inefficient grind and Alex's active, strategic build. You know that your study must be built on a foundation of active recall, interleaving, and blind review. But this raises the next critical question. Okay, I have the blueprint for how to study, but what do I actually do? When I sit down for my very first study session tomorrow, what chapter do I open? What question types do I focus on? What does a world-class Week 1 study plan actually look like day by day? That is the exact schedule we are building next. Alright, let's pull back the curtain. This is your blueprint for the most important week of your entire LSAT journey. Forget everything you think you're supposed to do. Forget the stopwatches, forget the full-length practice tests, forget the panic. For the next 7 days, we have a new philosophy. We are not test takers. We are detectives. We are surgeons. We are learning to see the matrix of the LSAT, one line of code at a time. Our goal is not speed. Our goal is not a score. Our goal is clarity. We are focusing exclusively on accuracy. If you can't get a question right with all the time in the world, you will never get it right in 90 seconds. So, for this first week, time does not exist. Here is your schedule. Day 1. The diagnostic deconstruction. Notice I didn't say, take a diagnostic test. That's what everyone else tells you to do. And it's terrible advice. Taking a 3-hour, timed exam when you don't know the rules of the game is like stepping into the batter's box against a major league pitcher, having never held a bat. It's not a useful measurement of your skill. It's a measurement of your ability to panic. It's useless data. Instead, you're going to perform a deconstruction. You will take one single untimed section of logic games from an official LSAT prep test. Any test from the 50s, 60s, or 70s is perfect. Your mission is not to finish it. It's not to score it. Your mission is to experience it. I want you to get a feel for the language. I want you to see what a rule looks like. I want you to try to draw a diagram even if it looks like a mess. When you get to a question, read it and then try to answer it. If you have no idea, guess and move on. The goal is simply to expose yourself to the material in a low-stakes environment. After you've gone through all 4 games, your real work begins. You're going to find a free video or written explanation online for that exact logic game section. And you are going to watch it with a notebook. You're not just watching for the right answers. You are watching for the method. How did they set up the main diagram? What deductions did they make from the rules before they even looked at the first question? How did they use their diagram to answer each question? You are going to pause the video and try to replicate their diagram. You are going to write down every single deduction they made that you missed. Day 1 is not about you solving anything. It's about you watching a master at work and taking notes. That's it. You are the apprentice learning how the tools are used. Day 2, logic games, pure sequencing. Today we build. You're going to open your prep book or log into your course, and you are going to find the chapter on basic linear games. The ones that are all about ordering things from left to right or first to last. This is the foundational building block of logic games. Your entire day is dedicated to this one skill. Read the chapter. Understand the diagramming notation. Then, you will do every single drill and every single practice game associated with only this one game type. Untimed. The goal is 100% accuracy. If you get one wrong, you don't just check the answer and move on. You go back. You reread the rule you misinterpreted. You redraw the diagram. You figure out where your thinking went off the rails. You do not move on to the next question until you understand with absolute certainty why the right answer is right and why your wrong answer was wrong. You will feel slow. Good. Slow is smooth and smooth becomes fast. Day 3. Logical reasoning, the heart of the matter. Today we pivot. We're moving to logical reasoning. There are about 13 different types of LR questions which can feel overwhelming, so we're going to ignore 12 of them. Today you have one job: master necessary assumption questions. Why start here? Because assumptions are the absolute core of all logical reasoning. Nearly every argument on the LSAT has an unstated gap between its evidence and its conclusion. Learning to spot that gap, the necessary assumption, is the LSAT's single most important skill. It's the key that unlocks half a dozen other question types. So, just like yesterday, you will read the chapter on necessary assumptions. You will learn the techniques like the negation test. And then you will do untimed drills of only necessary assumption questions until you feel like you can spot them in your sleep. Day 4. Logic games, adding a layer. Back to logic games. We're going to build on what you learned on Day 2. Today's focus is on basic grouping games. These are the games about selecting a team, choosing items for a shopping cart, in versus out. It uses a slightly different diagramming style than sequencing, but the same core skills of reading rules carefully and making deductions. The process is the same. Read the chapter. Master the setup. Do the drills. Do the practice games. Untimed. Accuracy only. Are you seeing a pattern? We are building a house, and we are spending an obsessive amount of time making sure the foundation is perfect before we even think about putting up walls. Day 5. Logical reasoning, the flip side. We're going back to logical reasoning, and we're going to build directly on what you learned on Day 3. Today's focus is on flaw questions. And here's the beautiful connection. A flaw is very often just the author failing to consider a necessary assumption. The gap you learned to identify on Day 3? Now you're just learning how to describe why it's a gap. The skills are two sides of the same coin. This is how you learn the LSAT. Not as a random collection of 25 question types, but as a system of interconnected reasoning skills. Read the chapter. Learn the classic fallacies. Do the drills. Untimed. Focus on articulating the flaw in your own words before you even look at the answer choices. Day 6. Integration Day. This is a crucial day that most study plans miss. You've been learning skills in isolation. Today we put them together. You're going to create a small custom problem set for yourself. I want you to find 5 pure sequencing games, 5 basic grouping games, 10 necessary assumption questions, and 10 flaw questions. You're going to mix them all up and do them in one sitting. Still untimed. The goal here is to practice switching your brain from logic games mode to logical reasoning mode. It's about forcing your brain to retrieve the correct strategy for the question in front of it, rather than just mindlessly applying the one skill you learned that day. This is how you begin to simulate the real test experience, without any of the pressure of timing. After you're done, you will review every single question you got wrong with the same obsessive detail as before. Day 7, Active Rest. I know what you're thinking. A day off? Already? No, this is not a day off. This is a day of strategic recovery and consolidation. Your brain has been doing a lot of heavy lifting this week, forming new neural pathways. It needs time to solidify them. You will do no new problems today. Instead, you're going to create a mistake log. It can be a physical notebook or a spreadsheet. You are going to go back through every single question you got wrong this week from day 2 through day 6. For each one, you will write down 3 things. 1. What kind of question was it? 2. Why did you get it wrong? Be specific. I misread a rule. I didn't understand what the conclusion was. I fell for a trap answer that did the opposite. 3. What will you do differently next time you see a similar question? This isn't punishment. This is learning. This is turning your mistakes into a roadmap for your future success. This log will become the single most valuable study tool you create. That is your first week. It is a slow, deliberate, methodical process. You will not see a massive score jump. You will not feel ready to take the LSAT. That is not the point. The point is to build a rock-solid foundation. You have now installed the fundamental operating system for logic games and the absolute core of logical reasoning. You've learned how to learn. But now that you have this schedule, a new, more important question emerges. You have your mistake log. You know what you got wrong. But how do you review those mistakes in a way that actually burns the lesson into your brain so you never, ever make that same mistake again? There is a science to effective review, and almost every single student gets it wrong. They look at the right answer, nod, and move on, completely wasting the learning opportunity. We are not going to do that. We are going to learn the one review method that separates the 170 scores from everyone else. It's called the blind review method, and it is the single most powerful tool in your entire LSAT arsenal. Think of it like this. When you get a question wrong and immediately look at the correct answer, your brain commits a tiny act of self-deception. It sees the right answer, let's say it's choice C, and a little voice in your head goes, "Oh, right, C. Of course. That makes perfect sense." You feel a flicker of recognition, a false sense of understanding, and you move on. But you didn't actually learn anything. You didn't struggle. You didn't forge the neural pathway yourself. You just looked at a map after you were already rescued from the woods. You have no idea how to get out on your own next time. The blind review method forces you to draw the map yourself. It's a 2-step process. First, when you do a practice section, you don't just mark the answer you think is right. You also mark any question you have even the slightest doubt about. If you're 99% sure but not 100%, you flag it. If you're stuck between 2 choices, you flag it. If you guessed, you definitely flag it. Be brutally honest with yourself here. After you finish the section and the timer is off, you go back and redo only the questions you flagged. But here's the crucial part. You do this before you check the answers. You don't know if you got them right or wrong yet. This is the blind part. You retackle the problem with no time pressure. You can take 10, 15, 20 minutes on a single question if you need to. Your goal is to arrive at an answer you are now 100% confident in. You have to be able to defend it like a lawyer in a courtroom. Once you've changed any answers you want to change, then and only then do you grade your test. Now you have up to 4 categories of questions. 1. Questions you got right and were confident about. Great, move on. 2. Questions you got right but were unsure about. You need to review these to understand why you were hesitant. 3. Questions you got wrong but fixed to the right answer during blind review. This is a huge win. It shows that the knowledge is in your brain, you just need to work on speed and efficiency. 4. And the most important category, questions you got wrong and were still wrong about during blind review. These are your gold mines. These represent your deepest conceptual misunderstandings. This is where we move to the second and most critical part of the method, the wrong answer journal. This isn't just a list of your mistakes. It's a deep forensic analysis of your thinking. Every single question that falls into categories 2, 3, or 4 goes into this journal. You can use a physical notebook or a spreadsheet, it doesn't matter. For each entry, you will write down 5 things. First, the question identifier. Practice Test 80 Section 2 Question 17. Simple enough. Second, the question type. Was it a necessary assumption question? A strengthen with a causal conclusion? A must be true? Be specific. This will help you identify patterns later. You'll start to see that maybe you're not bad at all of logical reasoning, you're just struggling with weakened questions that use percentages. That is an actionable insight. Third, your wrong answer. Write down the letter you chose and, in one sentence, why you chose it. This is the diagnostic part. You have to be honest. I chose B because it sounded smart and used the word, therefore, or I chose D because I misread the word unless as if a. This forces you to confront the specific trap you fell for. Fourth, the right answer. Write down the letter and, in your own words, explain precisely why it is 100% correct. Don't just copy the explanation from a book. I want you to articulate the logic. For example, answer C is correct because the conclusion is about the cause of the algae bloom, and C is the only answer choice that eliminates a plausible alternate cause, namely, fertilizer runoff from nearby farms. You have to connect the answer choice directly back to the argument in the stimulus. And fifth, the most important step of all, a full analysis of the trap. This is where you become an LSAT expert. You need to answer a few questions for yourself. Why was your wrong answer so tempting? What specific trick did the test makers use to make it look good? Was it a shell game where they used words from the stimulus but twisted the meaning? Was it an illegal reversal, confusing what's sufficient for what's necessary? Was it an answer that was out of scope, something that might be true in the real world but isn't supported by the text? You need to name the demon to exorcise it. Then you do the same for the other 3 wrong answers. Yes, all of them. For each one, you must write a sentence explaining exactly why it's wrong. This might seem like overkill, but it's the secret sauce. Top scorers don't just know why the right answer is right. They have an intuitive, rock-solid understanding of why the wrong answers are wrong. They see the patterns. They know the test maker's playbook. An answer choice can be wrong because it's too extreme. Using words like all or never can be wrong because it's irrelevant. Can be wrong because it's the polar opposite of what you need. By forcing yourself to articulate this for every single wrong answer, you are building a mental database of LSAT traps. You are vaccinating yourself against future mistakes. Finally, you write a one-sentence takeaway. The/then statement. If I see a question asking for a necessary assumption, then I will apply the negation test to the 2 most tempting answer choices before committing. Or, if I see a conditional chain in the stimulus, then I will diagram it immediately so I don't get confused by the wording. This final sentence turns a passive review into an active, forward-looking strategy. Let me be clear. This process is slow. It is painstaking. Reviewing a single 25-question section might take you 2, 3, even 4 hours. It will feel tedious. You will want to skip it. You will tell yourself you don't have time. And that is why most people don't do it. That's why the average LSAT score is a 152. Every time you get a question wrong, it's the LSAT tapping you on the shoulder and pointing to a gap in your understanding. Just looking at the right answer is like ignoring that tap. You're telling the test, no thanks, I'm not interested in learning. The wrong answer journal is you turning around, looking the LSAT in the eye, and saying, show me. Show me exactly what I don't know because I promise you, I will never make this mistake again. This isn't just about reviewing questions. It's about rewiring your brain. You're moving from being a passive test taker, a victim of the test maker's traps, to an active analyst who can dissect those traps, understand their mechanics, and anticipate them before they even appear. You stop seeing the LSAT as a series of random, tricky questions and start seeing it for what it is. A predictable system of logic with rules that can be learned and mastered. This method, this deep, surgical, almost obsessive review, is the forge where that mastery is built. It's the difference between someone who hopes to get a good score and someone who builds the skills to earn one. So now we face the million-dollar question. If this deep review is the forge, what are the tools? What are the hammers, the tongs, the raw materials you need to shape your mind for this test? Because walking into the LSAT prep world is like walking into a massive, overwhelming, and incredibly loud hardware store. There are 1,000 different brands, all screaming that they have the magic nail gun that will build your law school dreams. You've got books, online courses, live classes, private tutors, free apps, and a mountain of conflicting advice. It's a recipe for paralysis. You could spend a month just deciding how to start, and another month's rent on materials you'll never even open. Let's cut through that noise. Right now, there is one and only one non-negotiable, absolutely essential resource. It is the source of truth, the Holy Grail, the bedrock upon which all effective LSAT prep is built, and that is an LSAC Law Hub subscription. Think of it this way: the Law School Admission Council, or LSAC, are the people who write the test. Everything else, every book, every course, every tutor, is just commentary. They are interpreters. Law Hub gives you direct access to the source code. It provides nearly every LSAT ever released, in the same digital format you'll see on test day. Using anything else for your full-length practice test is like training for the Olympics using a different set of rules. It's just not serious. So before you spend a single dollar on anything else, you get Law Hub. This is your foundation. Now, once you have that foundation, you need a guide. You need an interpreter to help you make sense of the source material. This is where the big prep companies come in. And this is where you need to make a strategic choice, not an emotional one. Let's talk about the big philosophical divides in the prep world, because understanding them will help you choose your camp. First, you have the theory-first approach. This is epitomized by the PowerScore Bibles. These books are legendary for a reason. They are dense, comprehensive, and incredibly detailed. They will take you on a deep dive into the mechanics of every question type. The philosophy here is that you must first build a complete theoretical understanding of the test before you can effectively practice it. You learn all the rules of chess before you play your first game. This approach is fantastic for self-starters who love to read, who want to understand the why behind everything, and who have the discipline to work through hundreds of pages of dense material. The risk? You can get stuck in learning mode, forever, reading and rereading, without ever getting your hands dirty with enough real practice. On the other side of the spectrum, you have the practice-first approach. This is the world of a company like LSAT Demon. Their philosophy is radically different. They believe the best way to learn the LSAT is to do the LSAT. From day one, they throw you into the deep end, having you drill real questions, and they teach you the theory as you go, often through live Socratic-style classes where instructors tear apart problems in real time. The idea is that you can't truly understand the theory until you've wrestled with the application. You learn chess by playing, and having a grandmaster explain your mistakes after each move. This is perfect for students who hate reading textbooks, who learn by doing, and who thrive on accountability and a live, interactive environment. The risk? For some, it can feel like being thrown into chaos without a map, which can be overwhelming at the very beginning. Then you have a hybrid approach, which is where a platform like 7Sage sits. 7Sage is famous for its massive library of video explanations for literally almost every LSAT question ever made. Their approach starts with a core curriculum of lessons that teaches you the fundamentals, the theory, but it's designed to get you into practice and review as quickly as possible. Its strength is its analytics and its systematic review process. After you take a practice test, it doesn't just give you a score. It breaks down exactly what you got wrong, why, and provides a video explaining the logic. It's also famous for popularizing the foolproofing method for logic games, a brute force memorization technique that many students swear by. This is a great middle ground for visual learners who want structure, but also want the flexibility to learn from their mistakes through guided video review. So which one is the best? That is the wrong question. The right question is, which one is the best for you? Are you a disciplined reader who needs to understand everything from the ground up? PowerScore might be your answer. Are you an active learner who needs to be thrown into the fire with a live guide? LSAT Demon could be your home. Are you a visual learner who wants a structured curriculum and an explanation for every mistake? 7Sage might be the perfect fit. Your job isn't to find the objectively best company. It's to do a little bit of honest self-assessment about how you personally learn most effectively. Go to their websites, watch their sample videos, do a free trial, spend a few days, not a few months, doing this research. And once you've chosen, you must commit. This is the single biggest mistake I see aspiring law students make. They suffer from shiny object syndrome. Let me tell you about two students. Let's call them Alex and Jordan. Alex buys the PowerScore Bibles, reads half of the logical reasoning book, gets bored, and hears about 7Sage. So they subscribe to 7Sage, work through a third of the curriculum, hit a plateau, and then hear a friend rave about their LSAT Demon class. So they sign up for that. Alex's score is stuck. Why? Because they never actually mastered a single system. They learned 3 different languages for talking about the LSAT, but they're not fluent in any of them. They are a prep material tourist, sampling the local cuisine but never learning how to cook. Now look at Jordan. Jordan spends 1 week researching. They decide 7 Sage fits their learning style. They buy a subscription and they make a pact with themselves. For the next 3 months, 7 Sage and Law Hub will be their entire world. They will live and breathe that system. They will learn its language, master its methods, and complete its curriculum. They ignore the noise. They don't worry that some other company has a secret trick. They trust the process. Jordan's score goes up, steadily and consistently. Because mastery doesn't come from finding the perfect resource. It comes from the relentless application of a single good resource. The truth is, all of these major companies are good. They are all taught by 99th percentile scorers and have helped thousands of students get into top law schools. Their methods work if you work the method. The danger isn't picking the wrong one. The danger is not picking one at all. The danger is hopping from system to system, always looking for a shortcut, and never putting in the deep, focused work that is required to build real skill. And what about tutors? When do they fit in? A tutor is not a primary resource. A tutor is a force multiplier. They are the expert mechanic you bring in when you, the apprentice, can't figure out why the engine is stalling. You don't hire a tutor on day 1 to teach you what a logic game is. That's a waste of money. You hire a tutor after you've put in the work, after you've identified specific weaknesses, and after you've hit a plateau you can't seem to break on your own. They are for targeted, surgical intervention, not for foundational learning. They can be incredibly valuable, but only after you've built the house and just need help fixing a leaky faucet. So your mission right now is simple. Get Law Hub. That's step 1. Then do a week of focused research. Understand your learning style. Choose just one core curriculum, whether it's books, an online platform, or a live course. And then commit to it with the ferocity of a starving wolf. Your goal is not to collect resources. It's to master a process. Because the best LSAT course on the planet is useless if you don't use it. And a decent LSAT course, used with absolute consistency and combined with the deep surgical blind review we talked about, is more than enough to earn you the score of your dreams. You've now got your raw materials from Law Hub, and you've chosen your primary toolkit, your guide. You've committed to a system. The next step is to draw the blueprint. It's time to build a study schedule that is realistic, sustainable, and ruthlessly effective. Because a pile of bricks and a set of tools doesn't build a house. Plan does. And when I say plan, I know what some of you are thinking. You're picturing a rigid, color-coded spreadsheet that schedules your life down to the minute, sucking all the joy and spontaneity out of your existence. Forget that. That's not a plan. That's a prison sentence. A truly effective LSAT study schedule isn't about restriction. It's about liberation. It's a framework designed to free up your mental energy so you can focus on what actually matters. Mastering the test. It eliminates the daily draining question of, what should I study today? And replaces it with the calm confidence of, I know exactly what I need to do. First, let's zoom out. Before you plan your Tuesday night, you need to plan your next 3 to 6 months. We build the skyscraper before we decorate the lobby. Your entire prep journey should be broken down into 3 distinct phases. Phase 1, the foundation. This is typically your first 4 to 6 weeks. The single, solitary goal of this phase is to learn the fundamentals and build accuracy. Speed is irrelevant here. In fact, focusing on speed right now is counterproductive. This is when you read the theory, watch the video lessons, and understand the DNA of every question type. For logic games, you're learning how to diagram, how to make key inferences, and the difference between a basic linear game and a nightmare fuel grouping game. For logical reasoning, you're memorizing the common logical fallacies until you can spot a straw man argument from a mile away. For reading comp, you're learning how to actively read for structure, not just for content. During this phase, you are an architect learning the principles of physics. You're not trying to build fast. You're trying to build something that won't collapse. Your primary tool here is untimed practice. Do a question, and then immediately check the answer and read the explanation. Did you get it right for the right reason? Did you get it wrong? Why? Dissect your mistakes. This phase is slow, deliberate, and absolutely crucial. Phase 2, drilling and reinforcement. This phase can last anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks, maybe more. You've laid the foundation. Now it's time to start putting up the walls. You have a theoretical understanding of the test. Now you need to make it instinct. The focus shifts from learning to applying. This is the era of timed sections and targeted drilling. You'll start doing 35-minute sections from real LSATs. You'll use the data from those sections to identify your weaknesses. Are you consistently missing sufficient assumption questions? Great. This week, you're going to find every sufficient assumption question you can get your hands on and drill them into oblivion. You're not just throwing darts in the dark. You are performing surgical strikes on your weaknesses. This is where you internalize the methods you learned in Phase 1 until they become second nature. You're building muscle memory. The goal is to make the process so automatic that you don't have to waste precious cognitive energy on test day, thinking about how to approach a question. You just do it. Phase 3, Endurance and Refinement. This is the final 4 to 6 weeks before your test date. This is your preseason. It's all about simulating game day. The cornerstone of this phase is the full-length timed practice test. You should be taking 1, maybe 2 full PTs per week under hyper-realistic conditions. Same time of day as your actual test. Same 5-section format with the experimental. No distractions. You're building the mental stamina required to stay laser-focused for 3 hours. But taking the test is only half the battle. The other, more important half is the review. A practice test that you don't review is a wasted morning. You need to spend more time reviewing the test than you spent taking it. Every single question, the ones you got right, the ones you got wrong, and the ones you guessed on, needs to be scrutinized. This is where you find those last few precious points. It's where you refine your pacing strategy and master your mental game. Now let's zoom in. We have the macro plan. How do we translate that into a weekly and daily schedule? This starts with one of the hardest things you'll have to do. Be brutally, unflinchingly honest with yourself. Don't download a 12-week LSAT study plan for 175 plus and try to shoehorn it into your life. That plan wasn't made for you. It wasn't made for your full-time job, your family obligations, or your demanding course load. Sit down with a calendar and look at your actual life. Where are the pockets of time? Maybe it's an hour before work, your lunch break, 2 hours after the kids are in bed. Find the time you can realistically and consistently commit. It is 1,000 times better to plan for 10 high-quality hours and hit that goal every week than to plan for an imaginary 25 hours, miss the mark, and feel like a failure. Once you know your weekly hour count, break it down into specific, actionable study blocks. Never ever write study LSAT on your calendar. That's a recipe for procrastination. It's too vague. Your brain doesn't know what to do with it. Instead, be specific. Your calendar should say, Monday, July 8th p.m. Review Chapter 4 on causal flaws. Tuesday 6 to 7:30 a.m. Drill 5 basic linear games untimed. Saturday 9 a.m. 12 p.m. Full practice test 72. This specificity does 2 things. First, it eliminates decision fatigue. You just look at the calendar and execute. Second, it creates a sense of accomplishment. Checking off drill 5 games feels concrete and motivating in a way that study LSA never will. And please build variety into your week. Grinding logic games for 5 straight days is the fastest path to burnout. A balanced week during, say, Phase 2 might look like this: 2 days with a heavy focus on logical reasoning, 2 days on logic games, 1 day on reading comp, 1 day for a full-time section or a review of your work from the week. And this is the most important day of all: 1 day completely, totally, and unapologetically off. Your rest day is not a suggestion. It is a non-negotiable requirement. It is as critical to your score increase as any drilling session. Think of your brain like a muscle. A weightlifter doesn't go to the gym and bench press for 7 straight days. They know that muscle growth happens during recovery. Your brain works the same way. It consolidates memories, forms new neural pathways, and problem solves in the background while you are resting. Neglecting rest doesn't make you a hard worker. It makes you an inefficient one. Burnout is the great score killer. It's a fog that ruins your concentration, saps your motivation, and makes every study hour feel like wading through mud. Your scheduled day off is your shield against it. Guard that day with your life. No flashcards. No LSAT forums. No thinking about the LSAT. Go for a hike, see a movie, do whatever you need to do to recharge. Finally, understand that your schedule is not a sacred text carved in stone. It's a living document. It's a hypothesis that you need to test and adapt. After your first week, do a review. What worked? What didn't? Were you too ambitious with your Wednesday morning block? Did you realize you need more time for logic games review than you initially thought? Adjust it. Your schedule must be responsive to the data you're getting from your practice. If you take a practice test and your score drops 5 points because you fell apart on reading comp, your plan for the next week has to change. You might need to swap a logic game session for a deep dive into reading comp strategy. This isn't a failure of the plan. This is the plan working. It's using data to intelligently allocate your most precious resource, your time. The perfect study schedule isn't something you find online. It's something you build brick by brick to fit the unique contours of your life. It's a tool you create to bring order to the chaos, to ensure consistency, and to guide you step by step toward your goal. You have your system. You have your schedule. Now you have to execute. But execution isn't just about putting in the hours. It's about the quality of those hours, the mindset you bring to every single question, and how you conquer the mental game. And that is the final piece of the puzzle. It's the voice in your head when you hit a logic game that feels impossible. It's the wave of panic when the clock has 5 minutes left and you have 5 questions to go. It's the temptation to just give up after a bad practice test score. Conquering the LSAT isn't just about knowing the material. It's about conquering yourself. First, let's shatter a myth. The LSAT is not an IQ test. It is not a measure of your inherent intelligence or your worth. It is a skills test. I want you to burn that into your brain. Every single question, every section tests a specific learnable skill. When you get a question wrong, it doesn't mean you're not smart enough. It means you haven't yet fully mastered the skill that question is testing. This is the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And for the LSAT, it is everything. A fixed mindset says, I'm just bad at reading comprehension. A growth mindset says, I need to improve my skill at identifying the main point in dense passages. One is a dead end. The other is a roadmap. You must adopt the roadmap. This reframing is your primary weapon against discouragement. You are going to have bad days. You will take practice tests where your score goes down. This is a non-negotiable part of the process. It happens to everyone, even the 180 scores. The people who succeed are not the ones who never stumble. They are the ones who learn how to use their stumbles as a stepping stone. This is where your error log becomes more than just a study tool. It becomes a psychological shield. When you review a wrong answer, your job is not to beat yourself up. Your job is to be a detective. Why did you choose the wrong answer? Were you rushed? Did you misread the question stem? Did you fall for a classic trap? Did you fail to pre-phrase an answer? You analyze the mistake with cold, detached logic, identify the breakdown in your process, and prescribe a solution. The mistake is no longer a personal failure. It's just data. And data is your friend. Now let's talk about the engine that powers this entire journey. Your mental and physical energy. The number one killer of LSAT dreams isn't a lack of intelligence. It's burnout. We see it all the time. Students go too hard too fast. They study 6, 7, 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. For a little while, their score goes up. But then it plateaus. And then it starts to drop. They get frustrated, so they study even more, which only makes it worse. They've entered the burnout spiral. The LSAT is a marathon, not a sprint. You cannot cram for it. Your brain needs time to build new neural pathways, to let concepts move from short-term to long-term memory. And that requires rest. You must schedule days off. I'm not suggesting it, I am telling you. 1 full day a week minimum where you do not open an LSAT book. You do not watch an LSAT video. You do not even think about the LSAT. This is non-negotiable. It is just as important as your time drills. This is the time your brain consolidates its learning. Neglect this and you are sabotaging your own progress. During your study blocks, quality trumps quantity every single time. 4 hours of distracted, half-focused studying, while checking your phone is less effective than 90 minutes of pure deep work. Use a technique like the Pomodoro method. 25 minutes of intense, focused work, followed by a 5-minute break. After 4 of those cycles, take a longer 30-minute break. This trains your focus like a muscle and keeps you from fatiguing. Your brain can only maintain peak concentration for so long. Respect its limits and it will reward you. As you get closer to test day, the mental game shifts from learning and endurance to anxiety management. It's totally normal to feel nervous. In fact, a little bit of anxiety can sharpen your focus. But you cannot let it overwhelm you. The key is to domesticate the test day experience. In your final month, you should be taking at least 2 full-time practice tests per week. And you must simulate test day conditions as closely as possible. Take it at the same time of day as your actual exam. Follow the exact timing, including the break. Eat the same snack you plan to have on test day. Do it in a quiet environment, maybe even with some slight background noise like a library to mimic a test center. The goal is to make the real test feel like just another practice run. You're removing the variable of surprise. Develop a pre-test ritual. Maybe it's a specific playlist you listen to on the way. Maybe it's a 10-minute meditation session. Maybe it's doing 2 or 3 easy warm-up questions to get your brain in gear before you log in. Whatever it is, practice this ritual before every single full-length practice test. This creates a psychological trigger that tells your brain, okay, it's game time. And if you feel that wave of panic during the test, you need a circuit breaker. Stop. Close your eyes. Take 3 slow, deep breaths. In through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, out through your mouth for 6 seconds. This is a physiological hack. It forces your heart rate to slow down and tells your nervous system to exit fight or flight mode. It might feel like you're wasting 30 seconds, but those 30 seconds can save your entire section by bringing you back to a state of clear-headed focus. The day before your LSAT, your goal is to do as little as possible. Do not take a full practice test. Do not cram new concepts. Your hay is in the barn. The work is done. You can do a light review of your notes or your error log for an hour, but that's it. The rest of the day is for you. Go for a walk. Watch a funny movie. Eat a healthy, comforting meal. Get to bed early. Your brain needs to be fresh. You will gain more points from being well rested than you will from any last-minute cramming. On test day, wake up with plenty of time. Eat the breakfast you've been eating before your practice tests. Execute your pre-test ritual. When you sit down to begin, remind yourself of one thing. You are prepared. You have put in the hours. You have diagnosed your weaknesses, learned the theory, drilled the skills, and built the endurance. You have a strategy for every question type in every section. All you have to do now is execute. Trust your training. Don't second-guess the systems you've spent months building. Read the stimulus. Identify the conclusion. Find the flaw. Pre-phrase the answer. Execute. One question at a time. This entire process, from that first diagnostic test to the final click of the mouse on test day, is about more than just a 3-digit score. This is a transformation. The LSAT forces you to rewire the way you think. It teaches you to be relentlessly logical, to identify hidden assumptions, to dismantle weak arguments and construct strong ones. These are not just test-taking skills. These are the foundational skills of a great lawyer, a great advocate, a great thinker. The struggle is part of the point. So as you embark on this journey, remember your why. Why did you decide to go to law school in the first place? Picture it. Hold on to that vision when you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you feel like you can't possibly diagram one more logic game. That vision is your fuel. You now have the complete blueprint. Diagnose where you are. Build a realistic plan. Learn the fundamental theory behind each section. Drill those skills until they become second nature. And finally, master the mental game and execute with confidence. The path is clear. It won't be easy, but it is simple. The work is hard, but you are capable of doing it. You have every tool you need to succeed. The rest is up to you. Now go build your future.